Hi, my name is Rob Nelson, and I am head of development over at Rockstar Games, here to break down the trailer for Grand Theft Auto Online's newest update, The Contract.
I'm a hustler that made it. Now I work with rich folk who got rich folk problems.
It's been a while since we've seen Franklin, and we will explain what he's been up to and what he's been doing that brought him to this point. The timeline of GTA Online now is pretty much present day, and that kicked in somewhere back around, I think, the gun running update that we did. I think when we initially launched GTA Online, it was set in a slightly different earlier time, and as we've talked about before, it took us a little while to find our feet with GTA Online and what it was going to become. We didn't necessarily expect to be here 8 years later or whatever, so it's a good problem to have. But if we were to stay in that old timeline, we wouldn't be able to release modern vehicles and weapons and things. So it was a logistical choice as much as it was a creative one. It took us a while to get the engine to a place where we could make the heists that we wanted to make and have scenes and tell sort of more narrative-based stories in online.
Hey, what's cracking?
And as you might have guessed, the partner is you, the player. Lamar makes initial introductions between you and Franklin. They're obviously old friends, and so he gets in touch and sort of lays out the job description for the player, if you will. At that time, you don't know that it's Franklin. And so this is actually a shot from when you first actually meet him in the story. Obviously, people know now because we've put it in a trailer, but this is sort of the reveal that this is your new business partner. Going into business with Franklin entails you bringing your resource and expertise to the table. Franklin is more the face and the connections maker, while the partner is the one who gets things done, kind of behind the scenes. So the business acts as a gateway to security contracts, asset protection, and cleaning up delicate situations. There's a line from Franklin which says we just need one A-list name. So Dr. Dre is the A-list client. Dr. Dre is a living legend. There's nobody really like him. I don't think we could have done this with anybody else. And so we were very keen to make sure that he felt fully integrated and that it didn't feel tacked on in any way. And I think because of his history and who he is, we felt like he could be this, we could build something around him. In last year's update, in the little cameo that we had with him, the idea is that Dre and Jimmy Iovine and DJ Pooh show up and they're going to go on that private plane to the island. And the idea was that Dre was going to be the big sort of guest speaker at this. And then they arrive and his phone is missing. And he says,
private financial shit, naked pictures, but more importantly, a lot of my music demos, unreleased shit. This could be a problem.
So the contract is a contract for Dr. Dre to recover his data. This has been brewing for a long time. We've been talking with him for a long time and trying to figure out what is the best way for us to work together. He's such a sort of mythical figure, and the way he works, we just thought he is the right person for Grand Theft Auto. This is Anderson drumming. When they were on set, Anderson just came in and he just put this on, and Anderson did a bunch of drumming, and then they came out and they did this verse together. And we, like the rest of the world now, sort of get to see a bit of an inside look on what that process is like. And they really sort of did it quite free form, which I imagine is just the way they work. It was incredible to watch. There he is. We were extremely excited to bring Chop back. You'll see how Chop features when you play. I will say he is hanging around in your new agency, Franklin, so you can see him pretty much as you want there. It's really nice having a dog around. A bunch of these cars are new, and there are there's a wide variety of new vehicles across different classes in this update for people. And we make use of them. The other thing about this this update that's been so great is we're inserting a number of these vehicles into the story as it unfolds. And so they're not sort of just there for you to buy or not buy. A number of them you get to sort of roll with as the story unfolds. Integrating Dr. Dre into our world and helping him recover that which is most precious to him, his music. We had to think about logical places if something was lost or stolen, where it might turn up and who might have it and where you have to go to retrieve it. And so those are the types of, I would say, sort of shenanigans that you can expect to get up to, is being taken to some interesting places to track down his lost music, lost files. This is Imani, and she is the business's technical specialist who's integral to the operational planning and coordination of all of the agency's high-profile contracts.
I miss getting these hands dirty.
You can see that we're going to be revisiting some of the gangs in Franklin's old neighborhood as well here. That's the best way that I can describe it, is that you just sort of had a nostalgic feeling coming back into this world that he has left behind quite a long time ago. But I will say that you will find items in Franklin's office, and hopefully throughout this update, that point back to his history. The You Own Los Santos is, if you go back to his previous residences in GTA 5, you'll see something related to this poster. This collaboration with Dr. Dre was really an incredible experience, because we just knew that we wanted to work together. He said, I have some ideas that I've been working on. And we said, well, we'd like to integrate you into this. And we just started working together. We didn't necessarily even know what songs he was going to give us. He has a lot of songs. And he sent us a few demos, and then he was working on stuff. And there was a lot of improv with Dre and Anderson on set. I would say most of it was improv. We had, scenes that we needed to get, and obviously that script required lines that needed to be said, but they also will they take a script and then they make it their own.
That shit slap, bro.
Yeah.
Dr. Dre did show up and put on the suit with the balls, and we had a mixing board brought in and assembled, and Anderson showed up and played the drums, and that is them performing. They showed up and they did it, and it was one of the most amazing days you could hope to have on a motion capture set. We tried to recreate his studio environment as faithfully as we could on set, with engineers that we hired and equipment that we brought, so that he would feel comfortable and we could accurately give people that sensation of being in his studio. That has been our goal with this whole project, is to give people access that very few people in the world would ever have, hanging out with this legend and listening to stuff that no one's heard before. Only our medium can provide that sort of experience. The space is, I guess, a bit of a hybrid of Dre's space and, a space we wanted to create. Certainly the recording area, the mixing desk, all of that stuff is very much based on Dre's space. And then we needed, for gameplay reasons, we need a little bit of space in other rooms. But in terms of the working area, he invited us to his studio and took pictures and hung out and, wanted to, again, recreate his vibe and his thing as faithfully as possible here.
What's happening, dog? I'm Lamar Davis. I'm sure my colleagues have told you about me.
That's an interesting thing about this shot, which we put at the end of the trailer here. This scene wasn't originally spec'd for this update. We were going through the scenes and looking at the script, and there was a scene with Dre in this office looking at things, and it never happened. And we were sort of talking and said, Lamar and Dr. Dre need to meet. This is the thing that the world needs to see happen. And so we wrote him into the scene, and here it is. You have to imagine that someone like Dr. Dre meets a lot of Lamars in his life. I'm sure he'll know how to handle it, I would say. There's a lot more that I could tell you, but I don't want to tell you, because I really think that this is an update that is best experienced as you play through. We have been doing this for a long time, and it's something that's always been part of Grand Theft Auto. We just need the right people to work with so that they feel like they fit in our world. We would love to have Phil Collins back. But in this case, Dr. Dre is our guy, and he selected the artist that he would be working with. I love this trailer because it's so slick, and I've watched it for so many versions that I forgot about it. But the fact that the music that starts this trailer just starts and it goes through, and then all of a sudden it lands on shots of the actual artists performing the verses in the song in the studio is really an incredible thing. And it's so seamless that I even forgot that it happened. And to give people an insight into this process through this game, I think is amazing. Thanks very much for watching and listening. We can't wait for you to go and experience the contract yourself on December 15th.